Abundance Walla, and you're watching Abundance Show on Global Abundance Organization, GAO TV. And today we have got a gem of a person, heck of a guy. This is Carrie Co, and he's director, screenwriter, creator of Sing Your Song, SYS, film author, and narrative world builder. This is one of the fantastic feature he has, and cinematic video visionary, and author of Arc, chief of cinematography at the Octopus Movement. Over to you. How are you, Kerry?
I'm great, Zafar. How are you?
Thank you so much for a short introduction to my audience from your side. Back to you.
Sure. I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I make movies that move humanity forward, working on the next project, which is Sing Your Song, that I've written, that we are creating a whole business around, because film and the world and business in general, as you know, is about abundance and bringing people together and not about gatekeepers and what's happening in the cinematic world and in movies is there's just a lot of gatekeepers and there's a lot of the same stories and it's time for a new vision. So that's what we're working on.
Thank you so much, Kerry. You're an abundant person. You're tuned into abundance. And today, what are we doing? What this session is for? And would you like to give us a brief intro from your Hollywood experience also?
Sure, I worked in that industry for a while, um, and I didn't quite get all the things made I wanted to get made. And so I recognized after a long time that it wasn't me, but it was the system, right? And abundance didn't flow, and people were very not communal there. It's very um, competitive, and it's a culture that, although I didn't recognize it at the time, my true being didn't fit there. So a lot of things didn't happen, although some did, because I just didn't really fit in that world. And so um, that's my experience. I've worked with, fantastic people. I worked in a lot in theater, live theater, and making music videos. I won awards for. I won several things. They don't really mean anything. I worked with some great people on a lot of great projects, narrative projects, documentaries. But at the same time, the the things from my heart I wanted to make, I couldn't get done because it's the system doesn't really want those things. So after many years, I realized, okay, I need to make my own path in this way. And so that's where we're going with Sing Your Song. This is the newest venture. We're working outside of the system. We're creating a business that can sustain movies through reaching out to people who understand abundance, understand all of this, and can bring themselves to the project, including just audience members. So we're gathering a tribe of 1 million people who would like to see the movie when it's ready, and advance and listening to them and finding out what is the cinematic experience people want, and we're working on delivering that to them. Not the stories, every we have to make our own stories. We don't want to make stories for everybody's opinion. That's part of what the system does, and that's not good. We make our own stories, but we find a way to make that accessible to everybody in ways that doesn't exist now. And so we're a global community growing and growing, and we seek to grow 1 million people who want to see the movie. We call it the Million People's Premiere because we don't need Hollywood premieres where the stars walk the red carpet. We need people to be honored. Without, I mean, what's the point of telling a story if there's not someone to be there to hear it?
Wow, thank you so much, Kerry. And the Global Abundance Organization, GAO, is the platform of your choice. I mean, it's abundance, is nothing negative. So Today, we are here to learn from you about the filmmaking in the Hollywood experience that you've had, your own experience over more than 2 decades, and working with like octopus. It's a huge, big feather in your cap, and you've done a lot of good stuff for yourself. And today, this is probably the first ever live session for filmmaking, the basics of filmmaking. So since everybody, today almost everyone is a creator. The few are in creating genuine stuff, and others are otherwise. So I mean, I would want you to please teach us how to make a movie, how to make a film, how to make a podcast video, or how the role of the basics of everything, starting from scratch. Like, in take us an audience of year 10 and teach us. Over to you.
Okay. So, I mean, it's too big to teach it all in one session. So let's just start with one or two things. Um, the first thing that's the most important thing is to understand that we all have a unique story, and we have unique storytelling abilities. And for me, that's the most important thing about filmmaking. And you can apply that to podcasts, you can apply that to all things that are being created. For me, is what are you trying to express, and does it come from your heart, and can you build around that? Can you open yourself to tell your true story rather than seeing what others do and adopting too much of that? It is good to see what others do, because all stories are built on the oldest stories. We're not telling anything new. I think the biggest issue that when people don't tell authentic stories is they don't recognize that we're all telling the same story, and as humans we have been since people started telling stories, whenever that was, and that's been thousands of years. There aren't any new stories. What there are is new perspectives on what it means to exist as a human being, and each of us have a unique perspective on that, and it's colored by all those stories, of course, because that's how this being a human works, right? We're all standing on the shoulders of everyone that went before. But the thing is, we're unique. So find that uniqueness, what it really drives your heart, and what you and how you say it, rather than trying to copy what someone else says or tell someone else's story. And that is, for me, the most important aspect of filmmaking, because everything builds from that. Because when you tell your story, that's your story, and you become the conduit for the story, not it's not really you telling the story's sort of coming out of you. That's a hard thing to explain, but you are the person who is the one bringing that story to light, and so you have to do it from your unique perspective and your experiences in life and all of that, to gather that. And that can be when you create characters, like I do. I create characters. They're and they aren't me, but I'm able to feel the things that they might feel while I'm writing. And so the point is to give those, to know your own voice, let's say your own uniqueness, allows you to then give voice to a character that isn't you, and give it its own uniqueness. And so you can, and for instance, in Sing Your Song, there's dozens of characters, and each one has their own voice, because I know I have my own voice. So I need to listen to what that character wants to say and the way they say it, because that is the essence of storytelling. And so even if you just talk about a podcast, you say it the way you say it, not the way the person who has 10,000 million views or whatever thing it is, because there's authenticity is the first thing, and that all of what I said just ends in that. Authenticity is where the power lies to connect, because we can't necessarily determine who's ever going to connect with our thing, but what we can try to do is put intention in it and create alignment with those who feel it. And that can be the whole world, and it can be two people. That's not our business. Our business is to be authentic and see where it lands.
Oh, wow, great. So I like to just, since I'm a slow learner, but I mean I'll try. The first thing is we have to have a unique story. It has to be unique. It's got to be yours. Although it is like as you said, I mean there are no new stories, but the new perspectives. So, but I believe the perspective should be genuine one. It should be the original one. Just because we are on the face of Earth, we people like we are 8 billion people on the face of Earth, and I believe there are 8 billion perspectives. So the one thing can be told through 8 billion ways. And I mean just because having the perspective, and your perspective is you want to be unique, genuine, authentic. And again you're talking another ability that you are counting on is is storytelling. It should be unique. Again, it should be your own. And then you talk when you talk of your storytelling, then you more the most emphasis is going towards characters, number one. And then when you talk of the characters, then we are into the character's voice. That's amazing. I mean otherwise the general world is going towards the visuals, how you look like, or the cinematography, photography, and the things they are deep into that, and HD and that's amazing. Unique story, sound characters, the telling unique perspectives, and characters and voice. What next?
Well, I just want to add one thing on that. I believe that we deep inside of us understand this and know that, and I think we can tap that. We can. That's how you tell your perspective, is to really understand what that is at your deepest level and let it inform you as to what you want to express in this world about being alive as a human. So I'll leave it there. I mean, it is what you said is exactly right. Authenticity, I'll just say it. Authenticity rules the day. That's it. Authenticity rules the day. And so and because that's true, we'll step into the next part. Everything builds off of that. So the way it looks, how it's heard, what things we do, how we move. So I'll and that's exactly all the things that come. And my strongest part of this in learning for myself, and it's not for everybody, it's for me, is that in characters I find, oh, I understand how I move when something happens, but what does this character do when that same thing happens? It's not going to be what I do. It has to be something else. So I need to understand myself in order to understand them, because they become real beings just like I am. Because once they're in the movie or even on the script, they're their own unique entity. And understanding that we are our own unique entity allows us to see that in characters, in other people, so that we can understand our perspective isn't the right perspective, because there are no right perspectives, right? And that's actually why I make fictional films, or narrative films as they're called, because I want to present many perspectives in a movie because I think the bottom of why we don't live abundantly for humans is we believe our perspective is the right perspective and that everyone should adopt that. But if you at all, and you do it with your podcast because you meet other people like me and you hear a different perspective and you present a different perspective, and then it informs you, just like your perspective informs me. And for me, the what I learn and get out of all that is that there is no right perspective. Everyone's perspective and existence is of equal value, but at the same time, our uniqueness should be heard. So it just shouldn't be the only way. It shouldn't tell others how their perspective should be, right? And that is the beauty of storytelling for me, is that when we read something, see something, hear something, it's telling us, oh, I align with a lot of that, and some of it is new to me, and it gives me a new perspective. Wait a minute, my thinking about that isn't necessarily the way. There's a new way to look at it, and somehow in all of that with story, everything can be interlocked together. Uniquenesses can be seen and expressed, that they help others too. I think we forget that our uniqueness isn't something that doesn't help others. It's not like because I'm unique, then you're unique, that we can't come together. It's the opposite. We come together on a bigger thing because from each of our uniquenesses, we both gain something.
Oh wow, wow, amazing. So it should be story should be unique, and uniqueness should be heard and visualized. I mean, you believe it's not only that you're unique, your story is unique, you got very good story, and but again, now you are going into the technicalities that it should the voice and authenticity, and it looks heard and move, and the way your character talks, the here, it should be heard, it should be visual, it should be like, I mean, and then and then you were talking about one perspective on your own could be different than the characters. So you are going to into the details of the character. So I mean, whatever you like, or whatever you move, or whatever you say, or you reflect on certain things could be different than your character. So you are deep diving into the character's character. So amazing. And the next thing is uniqueness should be heard. Wow. And it should help others, and I believe it. So it's like, to me, it's like 6 and 9 probably. There could be your 6 could be my 9. And over to you, what next?
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is great, because it leads me to everything builds around that. Everything builds around that. I'll talk in movie terms, but you can apply this to everything that is expression, whether it's a book or a podcast or create any creative thing. Everything builds from the uniqueness. So um, I'll, I'll just start with the visuals in a movie, right? If when you see a movie that is moves you, it's because the visuals, what you're seeing, the way the camera is, the lighting style, the colors of the movie in the background, and throughout. I'll just stick with just the camera itself, seeing what it does, because this stuff can we could talk forever because it goes across a bunch of stuff in a movie. But it's the same thing as just with a podcast. How you look, the colors you like, what is truly you. If you're sitting there, then those things need to be a part of what that is. And for a movie, it can get really complicated, but just the way it looks, the visuals. Is this a story about someone whose life is seemingly small? Well, then the backgrounds could be huge. You could be someone just walking out in the middle of the desert, and the camera shows how big the desert is compared to that character who's walking in that, and the visuals add to this authenticity. If the character authentically is on a struggle to find out who they are, and they feel the world is so much bigger than they are, well, that that I just described, them just this panorama of a huge desert and them walking through it, shows you that without you having to say anything, because the visuals just land on the uniqueness of the character. And so you build out from that. And that is probably into all aspects, into what you hear, what we see. So for a movie, what we hear, how we hear it, what's mixed in the background. For instance, that scene, we only may hear the shuffle of the foot, the steps on the sand of the desert, but there may be a wind in the background that's blowing through, that the sound of that, not necessary. So there's it all builds just from what the uniqueness of the story is asking of us, and that can just be applied to everything. I mean, and that's for every part of the movie. In a movie, you there's different aspects of it, right? There's wardrobe, there's makeup, there's hair, there's there's actors who plays that character, who understands it the most, who can give it life. Um, there's the color, the different kinds of film and or the digital cameras have color settings. Is it a warm setting, or is it a cold setting that makes you feel like you're distant, the audience who's watching? All of those things, there's nuances in all of that, but you can't figure what those nuances are unless you actually know the story and know the depth of the character and what they're going through. And some of it doesn't change in a movie, but some does, because the characters grow. And so, you know, in the example I used of a person maybe lost in a big world, suddenly we find them, as they've grown to figure out, oh, the world's not as big as I thought, or it's not as daunting or hard for me to navigate, then we come in closer to see them in that situation, and it's different for them now. So there's a lot of there's probably there not probably there's too much for us to talk about today about that, as you can see. But in general, I'm the most important point, and my examples are: build out from your authenticity and the uniqueness on what it looks like, what you can do with lighting, camera, the basics of that, because that can help your unique story be told, in its authenticity. You can use the technology to inform the authenticity, the unique perspective. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you so much, Kerry, for taking us down into the filmmaking, starting from the unique perspective, unique story, and then you emphasize on voice, and then visuals, and then camera, lighting, warm and cold lightings, and then when you talk of the scene, like as you talk of the desert, the hero coming, or the character coming from a desert, so see, making it huge, gigantic, big one, so to make the impact on the audience. That's amazing. And then you more talk of the visuals, and then when you're looking for the characters who can really live the character. And and then you talk about the makeup and lightning background, and so this is really amazing. So yeah, we've got only 1 minute, last one. So can you please just tell us about how a podcasting setup should be, how it, like, I mean, I love your background. How can I just how can I copy your background? Can is it like artificial, or is the real one? Or if it is real, how can you do this? Or else you can send me this. This is fantastic. I love it.
Well, I certainly can send you this. Um, this was created. It's a digital background. I mean, my business partner, who's great with graphics, created it for us to have on when we go on podcasts, and also we've used it for some of our own shows that we've done. Um, yeah, and I think it just comes out of, again, it's the authenticity of my background. Actually, I want to mention this is slightly different than her background, my business partners. There's the clock that's a little different, and the film strip is a different color, and that's because we both in the business do different things. Mine's creative and about time standing still, and also, if you can see, there's a little camera lens in the in the cuckoo's nest, and there's a heart, and so that's it. I come from the heart, and time stands still for me, so it's not never about time anyway. So that's built out of that, and so you can certainly have one like this, but you can also have one created, or you can create it that matches you most authentically. And I love it. Like when I saw your shirt today, I saw the gold abundance, and that's you. When I think of you, I actually think, and I didn't until I saw the shirt understand that I have seen you. I've seen gold around you since we met. Don't know why. I guess abundance has that feeling, but the way you are makes that feeling more correct that it's gold. And so you showed up with a gold colored, lettering on your shirt. And that's exactly what I'm saying, because you know what it is. And you're so open to allow that to happen and allow that to create your background.
Goodness, I'm so flattered. I'm so honored. Thank you so much. Just because I am tuning into abundance honestly. And my one of my mentor tells me, if you are talking about abundance, if you are thinking about abundance, and you're living about, then you live abundantly, and the abundance gonna happen to you. And I really, the first thing that I've been doing it for maybe 16 months now, or maybe more than a month. It could be plus minus 2 months. So the first and foremost thing is that here you tuned from scarcity to abundance, and then it is such a powerful. Earlier I used to think, how can one change through storytelling, or how can one community change from to conversations. Oh my goodness, my experience is amazing. These conversations are so powerful. So these conversations have rewired my brain. Honestly, it's like everything has become so small. It's so tiny in front of the huge big objective. If you got the big aim, the no upset is an upset, no failure is a failure. It's like success or learn. You success or learn. And in the way I have been seeing abundant people like yourself, amazing. And I talked to your partner. She promised me to come to my podcast. Ask her when is she appearing on the Abundance Show. And we are on WhatsApp, and we're talking. And to pay her my regards. And she's an abundant person. And look at her. Despite she's differently able, and she's doing wonders. You both are your co-founder, and you're amazing champs. That's why I keep asking people like yourself. You're the change makers. In fact, you are changing the scenarios. You're telling us your own unique perspectives about storytelling. Your filmmaking is different. It's a life. It's an experience. This is not just a movie. Your movie, this sing your song, is just not a movie. Like it's like other movies. It's an experience. It's like you are there, and you're feeling it, and you're part of it. So, and you're also the character. Even you're not the only audience, but the characters. Amazing. Thank you so much, Carrie, for taking out time for this Abundance Show. In fact, Abundance Show is a bridge between you all visionaries, between you all abundant personalities, those who are creating a better future. This is just a platform, and here I am always. Okay, how about before we leave, what will be our next class about in filmmaking?
That's a good question, and and kind of hard for me to answer. I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I like to go more into details of what we just, I mean, since you got
Yeah,
a great holistic picture of what we got to do about filmmaking. So that's, I mean, now I like to go into the details. I mean, I'll start reverse. I mean, it's like filming. Although filming is the last process in filmmaking, but I mean, I'll start from the filming, like light, background, and the camera lens, or the lighting and the angles, or the sound, and about things about sound, about visuals, and about
perfect.
movement, and like, I mean, I keep moving myself. I mean, I'm hyperactive kind of stuff. So I keep getting feedback from my listeners and audience. They, move lesser, and that's a, so anything you want to add now and for the next class, what it would be about?
Sure, sure. So I will say this. Let's talk about what's seen and not seen. What I mean by that is the lens that we all use in these cameras has a certain amount of which you can see, and with a movie camera, it's highly controlled. You can just see someone's eye alone, or you can see, like I said, this vast desert. But even then, there's still more beyond that frame, right? There's always more. So let's talk about the what's seen and not seen. And we can get in, and that leads into the lighting of how it is seen and things like that too. But what is it you want to show the world from your perspective has to do with this box that we're in with a camera. We're in this box, right? It has limited edges. So uh, there's something about abundance in there, because beyond the limit of the lens is a vast world. So what we actually show helps us see abundance. Anyway, I'll leave it there. So let's go from that.
Thank you so much, Carrie Carr. It was Carrie Carr on the show, Gracing Abundance Show, and he'll be in the next class. Would be about seen and not seen. What you want to show to the world, and maybe in what not. So, and in the detailings of the cinematography from Octopus companies, the heart and mind of Octopus company, and he's been a cinematography and working with Hollywood in Hollywood. I mean, this is the North Star of the filmmaking, and now he's got his own perspectives. We'll be learning much more from him. Thank you so much, Carrie. Keep coming to our show, and we'll be featuring the next about seen and unseen, what the seen and not seen. We'll be talking about seen and not seen next in our next class. Thank you. Till then, thank you and Allah Hafiz. And anything you want to add lastly, any message to the world?
Sure. Remember, we're all storytellers. Everything we do, all our thoughts are stories. So you get to write the story of your life. Everyone is writing the story of their life. So write a good one.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow, great. Write a good one. So we are all storytellers, write a good one. That's really amazing. Such a powerful message. See you till next time. Bye bye.
Bye.